To touch your wife's body, the first thing you need to learn to do is touch her soul. That's why praying with your wife is the most intimate thing you can do. That's why a lot of people will sleep with somebody, but they won't pray with them because it's too intimate. The deepest level is at the level of the soul. Praying together, worshiping God together. Take some time every week. Look your wife in the eye. Pray with your wife. Pray over your wife. Talk to your wife. Here's a crazy idea. Listen to your wife. They find that sexy. So try.
They find that sexy. No, they don't. Wait, let me finish the rest of that out. Put it back up. Oh, that was it. Okay, that was it. Okay, my bad. Sorry, Mark. God, if you know anything about Mark's history with the Mars Hill faction up in Washington or something, in Tacoma, something like that. He's probably the last person on planet Earth that should be giving any kind of marriage advice, much less any kind of sort of like positive masculinity advice to anybody. But be that, I'm not, that would be a huge can of worms for me to open up right now. But the thing is like, this is one example of how misled and how just oblivious most Christian guys are. Now, before I get into this too deep, I'm going to reiterate it's also in Reignite. Right? I'm going to reiterate an idiom, a red pill idiom, which is the 80-20, 4.5% rule, right? So we know through statistically speaking, 80% of guys are invisible to women. Those are the guys who are the shelf stalkers at CVS. Like Mike and I have talked about this all the time. They're simply the women just don't see them. It's not that they are indifferent to them, although they are indifferent to them. It's not that they're indifferent to them. It's the fact that they are literally functionally invisible to them. It's when those guys make themselves visible that they become creeps. They're the guys that say, stay out of my fucking airspace, right? Then there's the 20% of guys. Those guys are the guys who are like, he might do if he has money, if he has some sort of extenuating like contingency for making up for not being as hot as the 4.5% guys, right? So you've got the 80% guys, you've got the 20% guys, and you've got the 4.5% guys. 4.5% guys is easy. That's Justin Waller, right? Those are the guys that women will actively Luigi. Those are the guys that women will actively take a role in initiating some kind of contact with those guys because they're usually on Tinder or whatever. It's just because they're fucking hot, right? It could be a lot of things, but mostly it's because the guy is super good looking or is super good looking and has his shit together, right? So he's as close to a total package as the guy gets, and those are the guys that women will compete for. Or well, I should say compete. They will share if it arises, if the cause arises, right? But I don't want to talk about those guys right now. And I'm not really going to focus on the 80%er guys. I want to talk about the 20%er guys because that's the dudes that we're talking about in these videos. He'll have to do all of these things because he's not my ideal. He's the guy he'll have to do guy. He's the guy who, when women get to 28, 29 years old, that Tommy Laren's like, men ain't shit. And then at 29, they get married. That guy that she marries he'll have to do guy.
Placement.
He's the placeholder guy. Yes. And he's remember I showed you that one video about the guy who's the boring guy. Get with the boring guys, right? The boring guy is the guy that the woman gets with at 29 years old and divorces by 37, 38 years old. Statistically speaking, going by the template, going by the theme, right? And so that 20% guy is the dude who is like, if a woman thinks she's a 6 or 7, then the guy she gets with has to be a 7, has to be parity, right? But women are not interested in, like when we talk about alpha fucks and beta bucks, how do we talk about that? Well, we have like men who are like 1 through 10. You got women who are 1 through 10. I'm sure you've seen do I have the graphic? I might have the graphic set up here. Oh yes, I do. Here it is. So here we go. This is the sexual freedom versus regulated sexuality. Okay. Regulated sexuality is what guys who subscribe to assortative mating really hope the world works like, but it really doesn't. Sexual freedom is really what it's about. Okay. So you've got like the ones, the twos through the twos wants to get with the 7, the 3 wants to get with the 7, the 4 wants to get with an 8, 5. And you can see on up the chain of command right there. Okay. But the thing that women don't really want is what you see on the regulated side. So a 6 gets with a 6, a 7 gets with a 7. And again, this is preferences. This is not who they actually get with. This is who they would prefer. The left side, excuse me, the left side of this graph here, the sexual freedom side of the graph, is what women would prefer. Now, according to assortative mating, the right side of this schedule here is what generally what people think people should be getting with. Like a 6 gets with a 6. And well, the thing is women's mating strategy. I'm just going to do this the whole fucking time. Women's mating strategy, because there's a whole section of this, by the way. I'm just repeating a part of the book right here. Women's mating strategy does not revolve around lateral shifts. It's not a lateral change. Like when if you're in a job, right? You don't want a lateral change. You've already got invested into one particular job. You don't want a lateral change. I wouldn't want to you get $60,000 here and you get $60,000 here.
Kind of upgrade.
The amount of headache it would take you to just do that lateral shift is like, why would you do that? I'm making the same amount of money here and I don't want to go through all the bullshit to get to this. So what do I get out of that? Okay. Well, I'm a 6 and she's a 6, but I have to convince her I'm a 6.25 or a 6.5, right? Or a 6.7. I'm not quite a 7, but I'm somewhere along those lines, right? And that's when value added, the concept of value added comes into play. So a woman will get a 6 will get with a 6 if the guy who is the 6 as well, and he's in that 20% range, because trust me, the guys who are in the 20% range are on the regulated side of sexuality right here. Okay. That's the belief set anyways. So the 6 has to at least convince that woman that he is a 6.5 because he's funny, because he has a better education, because he makes more money, because he has some other value added feature that pushes him up just a touch, pushes him a little bit up that chain, right? Even if that's completely false, the perception that he could be a 7 if he put on a tuxedo. He could be a 7 if he got that promotion. He could be a 7 if he got to the gym more regularly. He could be a 7 if he would just go down to Palm Springs Tan and he got the dark tan with 2 highlights and 1 amethyst. If he got those additives in there, he could be a 7. That's oddly specific. Yes, I understand. If he got a spray tan, he would go from a 6 to a 7. What is it? If he's not on trend, I don't want him. Yeah. If he would just take trend, maybe he could go to an 8. And I'm a 6 because women, remember, hypergamy never seeks its own level. That's why assortative mating will always be false, because hypergamy always wants one step above it. Mm-hmm. And even if it's completely false, even if the guy's a 5 and she's a 7, and that guy manages through some sorcery to convince that woman that he is actually a 10 or a 9 or an 8, doesn't matter. It's perception is fucking everything, right? And so until such time as she goes, this is just a 5, I could be getting with this guy, right? So women do not want that lateral change. Hypergamy does not seek its own level. The problem with this is that young Christian evangelical guys haven't got that fucking memo, and I'm here to give it to you because I care. So that's how you get these problems. So what's the common denominator amongst all of this, right? Is and we're about to watch Matt Walsh tell us why we should all get married and tell us why we should get a wife and why it's the best thing in the world. And his ideology, it's basically his ideology is superior to your ideology. That's what it comes down to, because functionally, practically, pragmatically, he has no fucking legs to stand on whatsoever. Well, until we get to the point where it's talking about ideologically speaking, this should be the way that things really are, right? They're not, but he'll make his case. I'll make my case. Okay. In fact, James Sexton will make his case for him too. So anyways, getting back to it. So when we're looking at the 20%ers, most of the guys who are in quote unquote Christian marriages are the he'll have to do guy. And usually the guys that are popping off about how any word of encouragement from their wife is like pirate's gold to them, those are the guys who went from being a 6 to a 6.5. Those are the guys who just got a little bit, and they got so much because they stuck to their guns. They're self-righteous as fuck. That you will never meet a more self-righteous man than the guy who's the white knight who actually hit pay dirt. He's the guy who actually made something work for himself. See, I did it the right way and I stuck to it, right? That guy's name is Steven Crowder. That's what happens, right? And then later on, Hillary divorces him. They get into trouble. Like there's a Ring video or some closed circuit TV caught him on camera or some shit like that. Because Steven Crowder was one of those guys that had potential. And he was working for, was it Fox News, I think at the time? Yeah. And when he got married, he was popping. I still got the link, Steve. You know, I got the link. I still have the link to the article he wrote back in 2015, 2016 when he married Hillary. And it was just the most self-evincing, like saccharine bullshit. And I will guarantee, I'll just say it. I say the quiet parts out loud. I guarantee he regrets putting that out now. Because it was like, oh, we met each other at church camp and we did everything the right fucking way, right? And how did that work out for you? So you can use those examples. In fact, I was waiting for somebody to pop off to Matt Walsh about like, okay, what do you have to? How come you've never had Steven Crowder on your show to talk about how men and women ought to do marriage? I know. Do you know? But he was one of these 20%er guys. He had potential. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Steven Crowder has made a lot of himself. He's maximized his potential and no hate whatsoever for Steve. But when you look at the path that led to where he is right now, it's been rocky. Let's just say that to put it as diplomatically as I possibly can. Okay. So when we look at these guys, and that I'm about to show you here in just a moment, like the guy who was the chore play guy. Like, let me go see if I can find chore play guy. It was too good, right? This one. Here we go.
I did the dishes.
Thank you.
And I dried them too and put them away.
Okay.
The laundry's all taken care of.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is just funny. They're funning around. No, they actually believe this shit. This is chore play. I've written about chore play I've been writing about it since 2007. It's one of my earliest essays actually on the Rational Male blog. But I was writing about it on the So Swab forums from as far back as 2007 because that's how far this shit goes back. This chore play repeats itself. What is chore play? Chore play is the idea that if you did more shit around the house, if you changed the diapers, if you if you sorted out everything, you scrubbed the toilets and you did all that shit that this guy is doing, that your wife is going to want to fuck you because of that. The same principle is exactly what Driscoll was just talking about a moment ago, right? We got to pray with her and you got to do these things. They have like a solution to everything. They think they know what they're talking about. These are guys who they're guys who don't fuck, who happen to get married. I'm not saying beta men don't get married. I'm not saying beta men never get laid. They do. When they're lucky, when they're the guy who's like, oh, you're 30, I'm 30 now too. Or you're 32, I'm 30 now. Oh, you were right here all along. You're the one. I finally realized I really got into my Bible and I prayed about it and I prayed about you. And we've known each other since we were in high school. And I know I had my crazy time and I had my fun, but I really need to get serious. And I found God and I'm reading the Bible every day. And he really put it upon my heart that we're supposed to get together. And if you think that we're not supposed to get together, well, then you're defying the Lord on high. And a guy who's in sexual deficit, who just a touch, a word of encouragement is like manna from fucking heaven in the desert of desolation. Of course, here's a woman who wants to fuck me. It must be divine intervention. It must be the Lord that has brought this woman to me. All right? No. You're just there because it's convenient. And so and let me just stop you ladies, because I'm going to get some chick in the comments, or I'm going to get some chick in the chat that's going to say this. So just let me explain to you first. Rolo, don't you think that it could be sincere? Don't you think a woman could actually have a sincere change of heart? Why are you so pessimistic and cynical? I'm not. I 100% agree that if you were to talk to most of these women at that particular point in their time in their lives, the epiphany phase, right? 29, 30, 31 years old, when they're getting right with God and they want this guy to jump through these hoops because they don't want you to think I'm easy, mister. And, it's like, I've had my fun, no fun for you. And I need you to know that I'm serious and I need to know that you're serious too. And so we're going to do this the right way and no sex before marriage, even though I fucked the guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break. Okay, it was free for him, but you know what? It's not free for you. So, but I'm different. I'm changed. I'm a higher quality woman, and higher quality women do these things, right? So how can you not want me to be that way? I get it. Would that woman pass a polygraph test if you said, "Are you really sincere about these beliefs?" Yes, I am. It would say, "Yes, she's 100% sincere." I don't question that whatsoever. You know what I question? The timing of it. Bloody fucking convenient that it happens it happens right here. As your sexual market value is in free fall, or at least halfway through the free fall section right there, ladies, that you're the pink one there, and the pink bell curve. Okay. Rollo, where did you get the stats for that? I didn't. I had collected them over the course of 20 years. That's where. As women's sexual market value is on its decline, men's, if they are maximizing their potential, if they're maximizing their potential, theirs is on the ascent at that point. And that's when it's very critical that men remain stupid. And that's what most of these guys are. Stupid. Well, they're ignorant. There's a difference between stupid and ignorant. They're ignorant of their own condition. They're ignorant of the game that they're in right now. And that's why they hate the red pill. That's why women hate the red pill. And that's why Christian men hate the red pill, because they don't like being reminded of the realities and the function and the mechanics of the game that they found themselves in back when they were 31, 32 years old, and they made the decision to marry that chick with two kids from two different fathers, because that's what the Lord said, is you're not the stepdad, you're the dad who stepped up. Or she was in the position where she had to be, look for a guy who's a man with benefits. The lights are coming on at the club, and I got to find a guy to go home with. They don't like to be like men. Shit, men are even more militant than the women are. Women are militant about it because what I say and what the red pill says, just in general, statistically speaking, I don't even have to be like qualitative about it. I can just be quantitative about it and show you numbers and stats and facts and everything like that. Just me bringing it up is enough to piss off women, because it exposes the game. It puts them at a very great disadvantage, because these guys don't need to know. Everything in this book is true, Rollo, and he shouldn't know anything about it. Ha, 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 ha. That's it. Ha, ha, ha. And cue nervous laugh. And men don't like that, because when guys get to be 35, 38, whatever, and they're hitting their stride and everything else, they don't like to be reminded that they probably could have waited another 2 or 3 years or 4 years, and then it would have been more sexually selective, so they wouldn't have been the last resort. Are you the last resort? Are you your Christian good trad wife's last resort? Because a lot of guys are.